Welcome to this week's edition of Mainely Motorsports. We're bringing it to you right here live, the end of race day at Richmond Karting Speedway. And don't tell me any of my viewers have never heard of Richmond Karting Speedway. I'm here with the track manager, Roger Collins. And Roger, I should charge you guys $1 for every time I mention Richmond Karting Speedway.
I'd be broke.
Either that or get a free ice cream out of you. I'd be fat.
Wait
a minute, I am fat, right?
We'd look a lot worse than what we do right now.
But, Roger is the track manager up here, the flagman, the dad. You'll see his son Isaac a little bit later in the show from the Mainely Motorsports TV 400, and just talk about what goes on up here, Roger. It's just.
Well, I know you do talk about the track a lot during your show, and I really appreciate that. What we do is, the biggest thing we do is we keep it family fun. We preach that from day one right to the end of the season. It's all about not just the kids being able to come up and have fun, but moms, dads, aunts, uncles, spectators. Just to come up and watch these kids go is amazing. But that's the key word, fun.
Yeah, and we're going to show some highlights a little bit later from my weekend, show the winners, and but you're right. I mean, back at the beginning of the year we started. You had that day in July. We had crustacean here, and you had free racing. I mean, the racing wasn't free, but spectators. So if you were a spectator and you always wanted to come and see what Richmond was about, but say, geez, it cost me a little bit of money to get in and things are a little tight, maybe we can't bring the whole family. I mean, you just open the doors and say, hey, just show up and come, and it was a great crowd, and what a great concept.
Yeah, we had actually over 1,500 people walk through the gate that day. And I know when you're talking about bigger tracks, that doesn't seem like a very large number. But when you're a little go-kart track in Maine, that's a huge number. And going back to what makes karting exciting, and this is nothing against other tracks, but I think we've all been to a race before, and you're watching the cars go around the track, and all of a sudden you look around and people are reading books or nodding off, taking a nap. You're not going to catch that at a go-kart track, any go-kart track, and especially Richmond. There's just so much action going on all the time, side-by-side racing. Instead of two karts battling for the lead, you got 5 karts underneath a blanket, battling it out back and forth.
You're absolutely right. And then to think that these kids some of them are 6 and 7 years old, some of them are teenagers, some of them are, just finishing high school, and then we have, Pluffy. You got Pluffy, and you got, but Micah Kilton, 29-year-old gentleman, decided him and his dad always wanted to race, decided this year was the year, he had a little extra money, decided to come racing, and so there's all shapes, sizes. Girls are up here. I mean, obviously everybody knows about Alicia, but I mean, we got 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 more girls doing it, Oh,
absolutely. And the thing about karting is, and going back to what you kind of were hitting on, the expense of things, the economy, the way the economy sits right now. A lot of people look at karting, especially when the economy is the way that it is, because it is more affordable. If I told you racing's affordable, I'm going to lie. Everybody knows that when you're going to have anything to do with a motor, you're going to have some cost to it. Yes, but it's not even a quarter of what it would be to race a late model or a pro stock or anything like that. So, the speed comparison, you're actually going faster in a go-kart than you would be a late model if you look at the scale size of it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I think one of the cool things we're starting to see here at karting is the next generation.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Obviously, Roger Collins, Isaac Collins, maybe not household names yet. Isaac's going to make a name for himself. But how about the Rows that have all of a sudden showed up? Mike Rowe, obviously everybody knows Mike Rowe. Everybody knows Ben Rowe. But how about Braxton Rowe, Gunnar Rowe, Max Rowe when he runs? Now that next generation, Jay Cushman's son, Austin Terres, we'll hear from later in the show. The Clarks. These are household names. I mean, now we got to, for it seems like 10 years, the Pro All-Star Series and Tom Mayberry has hyped the Clark versus Rose. Clarks versus Rose. Now we got Clarks versus Rowe here at Richmond Karting Speedway,
That's going to be like the Hatfield and McCoys. It's always going to be, that's going to always be happening.
And it's funny. And the kids, obviously, they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. They're going to make mistakes. Even the older ones make mistakes. The neat thing is to see them beat and bang out there, and the next thing you know, they're on the playground swinging, or they're over there having a drink, or they're riding their bikes and scooters, and, you're teaching fun first, and obviously they're learning about racing and the flags, and and every week the junior classes get awards, and then you know, we got some big stuff coming up. We'll touch on later in the year, but you know, you've done some big stuff this year, and then we just finished up 2 weeks ago the Mainely Motorsports TV 400, and we're kind of showing some highlights today. And there was 110 karts and mini cups in here.
That's awesome. That is awesome, and that just shows that growth. And to have something grow, especially in these times, that's exciting.
Yeah, and the racing that day, and this is what I take the most pride in. And you know, I had the drivers' meetings. We talked to the little kids. Obviously, you talk to them a little different than the adults. I had Sam Snow say to me.
No.
Yeah, Sam Snow, he's a big boy. Anybody knows Sam Snow, right? He ain't scared of much. He told me after that day, he says, you know what? He says, I ain't scared of much, but he says, when you was having that drivers' meeting, you was telling us the way it was going to be, he says, I was a little nervous. He says, you was making me nervous. I was listening, and that's what you got to do with those older ones, because sometimes they take stuff for granted. The little kids, they don't know. I mean, they're beating and banging. All they know is that when that checkered flag waves, somebody's trophy might be a little bigger than the next one. They don't know anything else. But that was, the racing that weekend was so intense, and that's one of the things that I've heard from people that weren't even here, is like they heard about the racing and how intense it was, you know?
Absolutely, and it's like that. I'm not going to say it's like that every single race.
Well, that's any racetrack.
Right, but truthfully, 95% of the races that happen up here, there's always action on the track. Always action. I mean, they're swapping paint, parts are flying off these karts, and what is funny, when people first hear kart racing, they think of going to an amusement park, hopping into a kart, and these things do, 15 miles an hour tops. These kids are busting out of the turn, and by the time they're coming down the straightaway, these karts are over 80 miles an hour. It's nothing like an amusement park. And the crash that Alicia was in, that's what sometimes it takes for people to see how fast these karts are actually moving. And to have your daughter turn sideways in the turn and another kart literally launch
like
up over her. Yeah. You know, and I don't know how you composed yourself, because I wouldn't have been able to.
How'd I do?
You did all right.
Well, here's the problem, right? I was here as a race promoter first. So, and it was funny.
And that's hard.
Because when I ran out there and literally ran out of my sneakers, right? I did that twice that day.
You did.
The first thing I go to was Steph and Betty. Oh, Steven. I gotta find out if they call him Steven or Stephen. I always call him Stephen, right?
Stefan.
I run to him. He's upside down in the fence, right? First thing he said, I said, you all right? You all right? He goes, dude, that's your daughter over there. Get over there. But, no, you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. If I get over there and she needs something, I need other people there. And that was the neatest thing, you know, the Leo Pilot running out there, you know, Tim Grant, Max Cookson's mom. She comes up and watches the races, but anytime there's something serious, she offers her assistance. She's a nurse by day, you know.
Yep.
But, you know, that was crazy, you know, and it is tough, and you do that every week. You do a great job as far as trying to separate yourself from being dad, race dad, and then track promoter.
Yep, and it is hard. It really is. It kind of bit us racing today, but you take those bad times and you turn them into good times. The other thing, and going back to what you were just talking about, going over to the fence and the guy saying, what are you doing here? That's your daughter out on the track. I've witnessed, and I'm sure a lot of people have witnessed, when you have those big rivalries, they can go overboard. And it actually ruins the racing, because it becomes a demolition derby. Maybe the fans like it for a part of the time. Yeah, you like contact as a fan. You like to see the beating and the grinding and things like that. But when you lose total respect for a driver, it ruins the race. Me personally, that's what I think. Every one of these drivers out here, they respect each other. But they also know, I'm not going to give an inch. That's exciting racing.
Oh, and some of the racing, and we still got, we'll touch on a little bit later, we still got some opportunities for people to come up here and see some regular racing, but then to see some hardcore, big money racing.
For karting, yes.
Yeah, for karting, yes. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. And I got, like I said, Roger Collins, track manager here for Richmond Karting Speedway.
Life in Maine is all about outdoor fun and being close to nature. Southern Maine Jeep is all about delivering you the best selection and the best prices at one location. Live it up with a new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee, increased horsepower and mileage, or go for the all-new look of the Jeep Compass 4x4. If Maine had a state car, it would be the Jeep. No other vehicle has the capabilities that come standard on every Jeep. No other dealer is working as hard to be #1 as Southern Maine Motors.
Thinking about a new camper? What if you could get a new camper now and not pay for it till next year? Now you can at Scott's Recreation. Buy a new travel trailer, we'll make your payments until January 2012. Buy any new fifth wheel, we'll make your payments until March 2012. Over 100 units in stock and online at scottsrecreation.com. Camp now, pay later.
Scott's Recreation, Route 4 Turner and Route 202 Manchester, Maine.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Northern Race Tire, dealer for Sunoco Race Fuels, distributed by New England Racing Fuel. Award Champs, rewarding your champions, the official supplier of Mainly Motorsports.
Welcome back to Mainly Motorsports, and talking about kids today. I'm not saying it's an all-kids show, but there's going to be a lot of kids later on, and some will talk and some won't. But you traveled over with me to the big race. Actually, you traveled with Bill Stilfen, but you were at the big race.
Do we have to say? No, I'm just kidding.
The Oxford 250. You helped me out in the infield. Had a great time and got some of the great interview. You know, the footage you got from the infield and stuff. Now, a lot of these kids have dreams of being what Austin Terrio was this year.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
Finish on the podium, youngest podium finisher of that race, 17 years old. But let's think back when that race started in 1974. The guy they called the kid at the time, Joey Kourafas. You know, seems like yesterday, but it wasn't. It was a while ago. And Joey was up at this year's 250. We got an interview with him. He's terminally ill, and you know, so guys like that have opened the door for what the opportunities are going to present for the kids that are racing here at Richmond Karting Speedway.
And you can't ask for a better guy for the kids to look up to.
Yeah.
You really can't. So
you know, and he was more than, you know, glad to sit down with us and talk about his race experience over the years. And you know, when he got done racing, was at an age where some guys stop racing. You know, and but just felt like he accomplished a lot in his career. And you know, then times change. But we were able to have him sit on the set with us up there. Kenny Lamb, whose son Caleb helps us out at the Northeast Motorsports Expo, as well as does the announcing at Oxford, interviewed him. So it's Kenny's first interview. So if you see Kenny, tell him A or nay. But I thought Kenny did a great job. So enjoy this piece with the kid, Joey Kourafas, the original winner of the Oxford 200.
Hi, we're here today for the 38th annual TD Bank 250 at Oxford Plains Speedway, and we're here with Joey Kourafas, who was the winner of the first 250, which actually was a 200 lap race. Joey, my understanding was you were in second place with about 3 laps to go, and you took over the lead when I believe George Summers ran out of gas, and you inherited the lead and went on to win the first 250 at Oxford.
Yeah, there was only a few laps left to go in that show, and I kept waiting for Summers to pit for fuel. We had all pitted. Wazzardi pitted. Everybody that was in the front of the pack had pitted, with the exception of Summers. And a yellow flew, and his car started sputtering, and he ran out. There's probably 5 or 6 laps left to go in the show, so he almost made it without stopping for fuel. Therefore, the following year they extended it from 200 to 250 to make sure that everyone had to pit.
Yes. Now, did that race have any influence on your career, racing throughout the years?
Oh, it was huge. You know, just to put yourself in that position, be able to win a show like that back then, it made the Associated Press news wires, and I had people calling me from coast to coast, congratulating me on my win, people that I never knew. It was just, it was a good leaping stone for my career.
Yes, now my understanding is you became friends with Dick Bear and Bob throughout the years. You've been, associated, I guess, with Dick, and seem to, at least up here in the Northeast, have a lot of influence. A lot of people know your name because of that 250.
Yeah, because of the 250, and I'd won the NASCAR North Championship back in 1974, which also went along with that same year, that same season. We won an awful lot of races that year, and we got a lot of coverage. The racing up here, we ran 70 nights a season, so 70 races. That's a lot of races. Being young, being 19 years old, and having that kind of success, that drew a lot of attention in itself.
Yeah. Now, how old were you when you started racing?
I started racing at 16 in Norwood Arena back home, and I ran one year in the hobby stock, and then I went into the Grand National division, and Norwood closed down, so I had to search out other tracks to race, and I bumped into the Northern NASCAR Tour. And I figured, well, that's as good a place as any to get my feet wet, and we were off to running.
Yeah. Now, you had told me that you had used to run 4 or 5 nights a week when you were young. Now, did you run other divisions besides the Tour?
At that time, when we were running 5 nights a week, we were doing that all with NASCAR racing, all throughout Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Maine. And then later, when NASCAR went to a once-a-week type format, where we'd run the NASCAR cars along with pro stocks just to stay sharp, because I was used to running so many races. The idea of running only 20 or 30 races a year wasn't too appealing, so I tried to drive whenever I could.
Yeah. Now, did you ever run modifieds or other divisions?
Yeah, I ran modifieds. I ran Stafford, and ran on a weekly series down there for 1975 it was, and in 1976. So that was an interesting experience. Just running the modifieds with the big tires and the open wheel racing. But I felt that NASCAR style racing was more suited to me with the full bodied cars.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of success with modifieds?
Not too much. We were a low dollar team. We were probably a top 5 car. So we were running 5th through 10th down there at Stafford. And, we went from that. There were a lot of good name drivers running in the division at the time. You had Leo Clary and Bugsy Stevens and Eddie Flemke and Ronnie Bouchard, and the list would go on and on and on with the guys that that were in that division at the time. And it seemed that NASCAR late model racing was where you had to be if you had aspirations of running Winston Cup, which is what I had as a 19-year-old kid.
Yes, I'm sure. Now, what are you doing these days? Now, I've run into you down to Star Speedway.
Yeah, I go to a few shows here and there. I don't do anything. I'm not involved with racing that much anymore, as I've more or less spend most of my time with family now. But I love to get out to the tracks whenever I get an opportunity to. So sometimes I help out my cousins and so forth. I still do have family members that are involved.
Yeah. Now, it's good to see you up here today. You get the itch or the fever when you come to a race like this to say, boy, I wish I was.
No, this is great. It's an Oxford 250 weekend. I see the kids that are breaking into the sport. I see the older people in their 60s that are still running, and it's just everyone comes together and tries to qualify and get into a race of this magnitude. And I see the fields. They got 82 or 84 cars this year, so it's a good strong field. But the racing has changed over the years. The type of racing that it is, and the amount of people that it attracts, it has changed.
Yeah.
But it's still a very prestigious show for anyone to win.
Yes, and there seems to be a good crowd here this year. More so, I think, than the last few years, which seems good to see. You know, the attendance up, and I know just the sheer number of campers out here is just great. So it's, you know, it's definitely a prestigious race, and it seems to be continuing.
They had racing last night, and I guess Kyle Busch brings a lot of people out to. A lot of people want to see him run too. So
right, but they also had the Pro Stocks, which I think was a good calling card.
Yeah, the Pro Stocks were a good card, and the Modifieds were a good card, and you know, now they're running. You know, you have a lot of divisions running here the night before and today. So it's a good support deal for the Oxford 250.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming today, and it's been good talking to you. And
nice talking to you, Ken.
Wish you the best of luck. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Clark's Car Crushing has been a family-owned and operated business since 1978. We do everything from crushing cars, handling industrial scraps, to buying the scrap metal right out of the back of your pickup. Copper, brass, stainless steel, aluminum, you name it, we'll buy it. We have roll-off containers of all sizes for industrial accounts. We'll handle the legwork with full drop-off and pickup services. So for a professional job, guaranteed honest weights, and top dollar paid statewide, come see the Clark family in Farmingdale, Maine. Clark's Car Crushing. Don't fix it, scrap it.
Is it time to replace that old car, but past credit problems are getting in the way? At JT Motors, credit issues are a thing of the past. We have vehicles for any need. Growing family? How about a minivan? With winter here, come in and browse our great selection of four-wheel drive utilities. With a low down payment, you can qualify for this program despite those past credit issues. That's JT Motors, 650 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, where you always drive away with a smile on your face.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Scott's Recreation, now at 3 convenient locations. Go to scottsrecreation.com to view their inventory. Clark's Car Crushing, located in Hollowell, providing guaranteed honest weights with top dollar being paid.
Okay, welcome back to Mainly Motorsports, and I'm here with one of the young stars from up at Richmond Karting Speedway. And this cat at the Mainly Motorsports TV 400 had an awesome day, didn't you, Austin?
Yep.
Why don't you tell the viewers about your day? Don't tell me you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a picture on the front of Rage's site with 2 big trophies, right? You set your heart out to try to win that race.
Yep.
All right. Now, did you really think that the race you would win that day would be the blue plate race?
No.
Which one did you think you'd win?
Box stock.
Box stock, and you still finished second in box stock. So, take us through the struggles you've had up until that point, but that was what you guys really circled on your calendar that you wanted to win and make a big day of. All right? Was there a lot of preparation?
Yep.
What did you guys do for preparation?
Call Kevin Nobley, get our tires, freshen up, big Excalibur motor, and go to the track and get the setups.
You guys worked hard, and you did a great job that day. You finished first in the blue plate race, and you finished second in the box stock race. So what's the plans for the second? Tell the viewers how big of a deal it was and how excited you were to win that trophy.
I was really excited because it was a really big trophy. It would be my biggest one.
It's your biggest one. What'd you do with it?
Right now it's just sitting on a bench.
Sitting on the bench? But that was a pretty big deal for you, right? Well, good luck the rest of the year, and we're going to see if we can catch up with another winner from that weekend and see what they thought about winning the Mainly Motorsports TV 400. All right, thanks, man.
Thanks.
Now, Levi Lawrence. What a great year you've had up to right through the end of September. But talk about how big of a deal that was to win the Mainly Motorsports TV 400 race.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool? Now
And hard.
What's that?
It was hard.
It was hard? I mean, you put a lot of work in to try to win that race. You had a big cheering. You probably bring the biggest cheering section here every week, don't you?
Yeah.
Now take us through that whole day, that whole weekend, and what makes that different than a regular weekend up here at RKS?
It was more fun than anything else up here and more exciting.
Yeah, because a lot of it is just brings so many people, right?
Yeah.
Now, you couldn't do it by yourself. How old are you, Levi?
10.
Where do you go to school?
Elmslie School.
Really? So you might be like 4th or 5th grade?
4th.
4th grade. So you obviously, you can't drive the truck here with the carts. You can't work on them. I know you try. But who's some of the people that really help you out here at the races and some of your sponsors?
My uncle, my dad, my mom, and a couple other people.
All right. Well, that was a great job that weekend, and we've done a great job this year. So I want to congratulate you from us for winning that race, and people are going to get a chance to see some highlights here of you in some of those racing. So great job, and good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back, and we'll catch up with somebody else. Now, when I had my show on, Isaac, promoting the Mainely Motorsports TV 400, you were one of the guys we talked to. You came so close to winning it last year. This year, you accomplished that goal. You put yourself in victory lane, and that's like a year's worth of, headaches. Last year, you finished second. You were so close within 5 laps, and this year, you pick up the win, huh?
Yeah, it's not easy sometimes because you got a lot of competition, and you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta be consistent. And you get good times, and you'll be great.
On an average week up here at IKS, you run with 6 to 7 karts. That weekend, you ran with what was there? 11 gold plate karts.
Yeah, and it was all right, but it was really hot that day too. All of them were really fast, and some of them just had a bad day. And Ivan Keffel, he had a hard look because didn't really make the weight on the scales.
Yeah, but you put yourself in position to capitalize, and you did. Last year, you were that guy leading with 5 to go, and then an untimely caution gave the field a chance to cool their tires, and it came back to bite you and helped Alicia. And but you did a great job all weekend, and like you continue to do. Now, I've talked to people. They said that trophy was been on display down at Grandpa's place, huh?
Yeah, my grandfather took it home because it wouldn't fit my mother's car, so he had to put it in his S10.
Yeah, and they said it was down. So talk about some of the people that make it possible and help you get to, get your racing career to the point where you can win big races like that.
Well, it's mostly my father and my grandfather because they're the ones that make it possible for me to drive, and they set up the kart. And my mom, she scores and she helps out too. Sometimes Will Anderson will help us fix the kart, and Terry Patterson, he helps us too. It's pretty fun. No, and that was, you were so excited that weekend, and then to win that award, win that big trophy, and that's what it's all about. Even the guys that are racing for money, the money's gone. I'm sure they've spent the money they won, but that trophy is on display somewhere. Yeah. So congratulations to you and your whole team. And that was a big win and a big deal, and we got some other big races coming up here at IKS, so I'm sure you'll be participating. Yeah. Now we're going to get a word with Josh Bath, who's been dying to get on this show. I told him, you do something special, Josh, and I'll have you on the show. Well, Josh did something special. So we're going to get Josh in here to take Isaac's seat. So congratulations, Isaac, again. Now, Josh, you've been asking me, Steve, when am I going to get on the show? When am I going to get on the show? Right? Yep. And I told you do something big, you do something special, we'll put you on the show. Well, tell the viewers what you did so special.
I run the junior animal race.
Yeah, you won the Mainely Motorsports TV 400. So, talk about that trophy, talk about the day, all the stuff that goes along with it.
The trophy was 6 feet.
6 feet tall, right? How'd you get it home?
My dad left the go-kart here, and he had to transport it home in the back of his truck.
He left the go-kart here because he didn't have room for the go-kart and the trophy. So you wanted the trophy home and leave the go-kart here. That's a pretty big deal, huh? Now, we try to promote it. We try to get people to come up and watch. Next year, obviously we're a year away. What are some of the big things that people should look for when they come up for that weekend to watch some of the racing with some of the kids?
To watch me.
To watch you. But there's other things, right? Obviously you do a great job. You're going to move up next year. But that was a big deal. You had a great race that day with Braxton Rowe, who ended up winning one of the junior box stock races. Yeah. But, your dad, who's Dave Bath, been a long-time racer, does a great job. Talk about some of the other people that help you out and get you here week in, week out, your sponsors. And
Pave Tech, King Motorsports, and DR Bryan Excavation.
All right, good job. And that wears GMC colors, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a sharp-looking kart. So, you had a good time that weekend. What was the best thing about that weekend? Other than winning, what was the best thing?
Getting to come.
What's that?
Getting to come.
Getting to come to the race. Now I'm going to tell you something about this cat. He ran the box stock race, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went out to time trial. Oiled the whole track down. These motors take 12 ounces of oil, right? Well, his dad forgot that he had 12 ounces of oil in it. Put it out of 12 ounces. So now there's 24 ounces of oil. It's got to come out of somewhere, right? So it did. It came out of the muffler. So they oiled the track down before we could continue time trial. We had to get Speedy Dry out there, get the track, like a track drying crew, like NASCAR, right? This cat comes up to me and apologizes to me for stopping the show because it was his oil that was out there. His dad didn't want anybody to know, but old Josh, Mr. Honesty, comes up and tells me, right?
Yep.
So that was cool, but that was no big deal, right? It was just a great time to be here. It was great for you to win, for you and your family. They put a lot of hard work in. So you're going to come back next year and race it?
Yeah, I'm going to be racing Junior Sportsman.
Junior Sportsman next year? All right, Josh. Well, great job that weekend, and enjoy your rest of the year up here at Richmond Karting Speedway.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to announce this month's Driver of the Month from all the tracks from the month of August. Actually, we're running a little late, got a lot going on. So the month of August winners for Driver of the Month. So we're going to be right back here on Mainely Motorsports.
Hey, I'm Kyle Busch, and when I'm in Maine, I watch Mainly Motorsports.
Patman's Redemption and Agency Liquor Store is located at 95 Tanberg Trail in Windham, Maine. With over 400 feet of hard liquor and 15 doors of ice-cold beer and soda, Patman's can handle all of your beverage needs. And if it's wine on your agenda, we have over 300 varieties in stock. Then when the party's over, Patman's can handle all of your Maine returnables, and we welcome all bottle drives. And if you're late for the race, drop off the bottles and pick up the cash at your convenience.
Hey, this is Pat Man himself, just letting you know that Pat Man's is your one-stop shop for all your thirsty needs.
All of us at Moody's Collision Centers would like to thank you for supporting us for over 30 years.
We all own stock in Moody's and have a vested interest in you and your vehicle.
The people at Moody's Collision Centers are part of the community, and our reputation is very important to us.
We take pride in our work and guarantee our repairs for as long as you own your vehicle.
At Moody's Collision Center, we care about our customers.
So when your insurance company asks where you want to go, tell them Moody's Collision Centers. 4 convenient locations: Gorham, Scarborough, Biddeford, and now Portland.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by LKQ Corp. Any part, any repair, anywhere. Located on Route 202 in Gorham. Moody's Collision Centers, now in 5 convenient locations: Biddeford, Gorham, Portland, Sanford, and Scarborough.
To order copies of a show, send a check or money order for $15, shipping and handling included, to Mainly Motorsports, 326 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, Maine, 04062. And please add a description of the show.
Five years ago, I went shopping for my family's first camper. I didn't like the prices, and I didn't like the way I was treated. A year later, I opened up Scott's Recreation.
Today, Scott's Recreation is Maine's exclusive multi-line Heartland dealer, along with being Maine's #1 fifth-wheel dealer 2 years in a row. Browse through the new 2012 Heartland models or take advantage of closeout prices on 2011s. Scott's welcomes almost anything in trade, financing available too. Scott's Recreation, Route 202 in Manchester, and their new Turner location on Route 4.
up, Crowley?
Hey, yeah?
Are you going to Ossipee Trail?
Yes, I am.
Sweet. Get in.
People will do whatever they gotta do to get to Ossipee Trail Motor Sales, Route 25, Gorham.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Northern Race Tire, dealer for Sunoco Race Fuels, distributed by New England Racing Fuel. Southern Maine Motors, out to be Maine's #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealership, Route 1 Saco.
Welcome back to Mainly Motorsports, and we touched on a little bit the Mainly Motorsports TV 400, and that was, you know, last year we had 93 karts and mini cups. I thought it was a pretty good number. This year we went to 110, and obviously the Pro All-Star Series race got canceled from Irene 2 weeks earlier or 3 weeks earlier and got moved to that date. That cost us another 10 karts, and I believe another 100 spectators. So,
absolutely.
You know, hopefully next year the dates work out and everything falls into place just like it's going for the Dash. But we want to throw a special shout out to all the class winners and, you know, and the sponsors that really made it possible that day. So why don't you have at it, Raj?
Well, if we start with the junior animal, Josh Bath. Here's a kid that comes to the track not every weekend. His dad is actually busy working on other race cars with other teams, but after seeing Josh in that junior animal race, I think Dad's going to start spending a little bit more time with his kids and not everybody else's. Kid's a phenomenal driver. When he first started, he was timid, but to come up, especially on a big weekend, when the kids see these big trophies, they get butterflies. And to compose himself the way he did during that race and be able to maintain that lead and to capture the checkered flag, you can't say more about the kid.
Yeah. No, so you're right. Congratulations to Josh Bath, and thank you to Oxford Auto Salvage for sponsoring that race. Then we had the mini cups in action.
That was fun.
Last year we tried it, and it didn't go so good. They all, you know, at the end of the day, I thought they were going to knock. I think all were going to knuckle me out, right? So I said, you know what? I'm not giving up again. We put them in again, right? There's two classes. There's rigid and suspended. What happens is one thinks one's got an advantage, the other one. So what I did was we mixed them up. Said, listen, like the 24 Hours of Daytona, run them. There'll be 5 trophies for the rigids, 5 trophies for the suspendeds. I'll add up your team totals, and whoever has the lowest point total will get the Mini Cup Challenge Award. So it's kind of like that's a little bragging rights, but everything else is done. Okay? That's the way we're going to do it. That was the most spectacular Mini Cup race I've ever seen. 50 laps, you know. We had a winner in each class. R.J. Pinkham, who was driving in the rigid class from down up at Kingfield, won their race. Actually won the race, so he got first in his division, and you know, took home the Keystone Automotive first place trophy. Then we had Richie Tebow, top dog on the suspended sides, kind of just always there at the end, and he ended up picking up the win on the suspended side. And, you know, we as GMC, we as Motors sponsored that trophy in that class, so I appreciate that. And then the suspended guys had the bragging rights because they won the Mini Cup Challenge. You know, so it was just a phenomenal weekend for the Mini Cups to be a part of this event. And that's what they said. They said, wow, we feel like we're included and to be a major part of something that's a big deal.
Yep, and just to touch base on that, because when you do run two different chassis, one has suspension, the other one is straight up. But to have that close of a race, it wasn't like Richie Tebow was that far behind RJ.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't. And so to have, you know, yes, a rigid win, but then to have a suspended finish right behind them, that just goes to show that sometimes you can mix things in racing and have it work.
No, you're absolutely right. Now let's talk about the junior box stock.
Love that class. Love that class. These kids, when you see them at 4 and 5 years old doing what they do out on that track, we'll take Braxton Rowe for example. I guarantee that if you put Ben Rowe in a go-kart, Braxton's going to outdrive him. And I actually tried to make it happen one night, but Ben didn't want to do it. So, but to see these kids at that age do what they do, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and then we talk about the Clarks and the Rose. Aiden Clark, because we split the junior box stock up, because there's so many of them, and you couldn't imagine putting 12 to 16 of them because they are at different levels.
Absolutely.
We split them up, and here we go, the Clarks and the Rows. Braxton Rowe wins his race, sponsored by K4 Racing, a family that races up here. Aiden Clark wins his race, sponsored by the Dairy Queen with Westbrook and Wyndham. So it's just a matter of time before the Clarks and the Rows are added at Richmond Karting Speedway like they are up here.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to the box stock division.
And I know every time the box stocks go out, especially on your weekend,
I cringe. I do.
It's because you're moving up from really a beginner's class. You're getting more experience into it.
That used to be the beginner class.
Yes, absolutely. And it used to be huge. And it took me a while to explain to the parents that box stock used to be where it started. And my kid, your kid, everybody, they were on their roofs. They were in the fences, the tires. But that's what taught those kids. So as a track, we looked at that. How can we change that? We came up with the junior box stock division. Perfect. But you still have that little bit of a mix in box stock. The learning curve and then the experienced driver. And to watch them race, it nail biting. Nail biting.
Oh, you're right. And then, Levi Lawrence didn't maybe have the fastest car in the long run, but in the short run, Levi Lawrence ends up in victory lane with winning the box stock race sponsored by Freeport Boat Outlet, which brings us to the junior sportsman division. And
that's the division makes me cringe.
Yeah, beginning of the year, those guys just beat and bang, and they couldn't beat on each other enough.
Yep.
But then they've kind of realized through telling them, you know what, you guys are like 1 step, 2 steps away from being the top classes. You need to race like you belong in top classes, and that group settled down. And what a race they put on that day. They had a wreck right on lap 2 or 3. You'll see some photos here of ended up on their roof and guys destroyed. But you know what? They settled down after that, and then they decided that, you know what, we're going to put on a good race. And little young Austin Terres, and I'll tell you, I think that kid's fed nails because some of the wrecks I've seen him take up here and some of the situations he gets in, and he just bounces back and he goes and does a great job, and just unbelievable job he does. And he picked up the big 6-foot trophy sponsored by Almighty Waste, the Furlan family that is heavily involved up here at the track with their daughters. And he accomplished a year-long goal that he wanted, because last year he felt like he got it taken away with some late race cautions and accidents he was involved in. Waited a whole year to really try to make that happen, and he made it happen.
And it's funny, if you see a picture of Austin holding the trophy, you're going to see he's only about 3 foot. But the kid can drive.
Oh,
unbelievable driver.
Up on the wheel, so that's a name you're going to hear a lot of.
Absolutely.
And then the sportsman division. We have 6 of them on a weekly basis, 7 sometimes.
Yep.
We brought, was there 11 or 12 here that day?
11 that
Biggest
day.
field we had.
Yep.
Took them a couple laps to get going. Once they got going,
gone.
It was green to check it.
Yep.
And got a little fuel mileage into the situation. Then, the apparent winner wasn't the winner. And I'll tell you, Rob, everybody knows Big Rob up here. They've been pumped up and talking about this race all year. They moved to Maine. We want to win one of them, just to be involved.
Absolutely.
They win the race. And and he'll be the first to tell you, he didn't pit for fuel when everybody else did, because he didn't feel that it was right situation for his kid to come through 11 karts with only his second start in the class. And it worked out that Isaac and Carter really got stuck in traffic and allowed him to get away.
Absolutely.
But he wins the race.
It was a gamble.
Yeah, and the gamble paid off until he went to Tech. Because he was 5 pounds light on weight. This was this wasn't a hogged out plate, big piston, or whatever they do. This was a dad not paying attention. And I hate to call Rob out, but me and him probably talked about it 100 times at a buffet somewhere in southern Maine. That
you at a buffet?
Oh, me and him. They see us coming. They change the sign to all you can eat. They get rid of the all you can eat sign.
Yep. No buffet for you.
Yeah, no buffet for you. We go to China. Oh yeah. But and I'll tell you, to have a 6-foot trophy taken away from you, and all the glory that goes with it, you couldn't ask for a family. Not only Rob, but his wife, his son, the way they handled themselves, because there have been people down there just screaming at me, 5 pounds means nothing, which we all know 5 pounds means nothing.
Yep.
But The rules were the rules. Isaac benefited from it, whereas last year Isaac probably had one taken away from him because he had the best kart in a long run. We had a caution come out with 5 laps to go, and that enabled Alicia to cool her tires and give the situation to make a run on him. So, you know, I mean, it was a great run. Again, somebody that races here weekly, Chris Cookson Collision Centers, had stepped up and sponsored that class. So, you know, thank you to them, and you know, and then the Oxford guys. You know,
what can you say about that?
I gave them a chance last year. They had the biggest class in the state. They had, on an average, 17 karts on a weekly basis. So I opened up, I said, listen, I'm going to open up a race for your top 20 in points to come up. So they said, that's great. They came up, they brought 8 karts last year. So this year I said, you know, they need to bring either 8 or 9 again. Well, White Mountain cost them 5. So they only had 5 here. So, but they were a great group. I said, listen,
they were a fun
there's
group.
5 of you. We don't need to be going 50 laps. It's a long day. What do we cut it back? What do you guys pick? 30 laps. They're all fine, right? The guy that takes the wild ride in the senior sportsman race hobbles his way to pick up the win. You know, and
holding his green paper that we gave him to go check into the doctor's the next day.
What a great job for him and that whole group. And they are, just to have them, and they tell me, thank you for including us. You know, we're sorry we didn't, but I'm a realist. I realized 5 cars were at White Mountain that would be here.
Yeah.
You know?
And you have to be a realist when you're especially promoting or running a racetrack.
And how about
things happen?
How about the King of Oxford, Mike Rowe and Sons, sponsoring the trophies for the auction? How fitting, you know, for those guys.
That was awesome.
You know, so great job to them. That brings us to the money classes. You know, senior sportsman.
It's fine with me because that time you have to pay.
Oh,
my payment's coming up.
Yeah, senior sportsman, $1,250 a win, 20 karts starting grid. That tends to be a wreck fest. I told them, I curlied them, I call it, on the driver's meeting.
Absolutely.
The way it had to be.
Yeah.
And we had 3
What was it you said all weekend? It might be wrong, but it's my way, and that's the way we're going to do it.
And don't ruin my show.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And when I say my show, I tell every group there, we can make this thing as big as you guys want to make it. We got to do it together. I can't put it on without good racing. And I'm not saying they can't do it without me, but you know, we can make it happen. And what a race they had. 20 of them, slicing and dicing. The top 3 checked out. The rest were battling. They all got in situations. They raced calm. They raced smart. Kid from, I say a kid, 30-year-old from Connecticut, Glenn Meisenhelder, comes up, wins the show. But how about that wreck on the last lap?
I really truthfully don't know how you composed yourself. You have Alicia,
who was 13.
Yeah, and they were battling for the lead.
Well, not at the end. At the beginning of the race, when she got spun with 20 to go, she was running second. As of dad, race director, you know, I had to take it out of the question. I said to the race director at the time, whether we think the guy wronged her or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, it was a racing deal. She goes to the back.
Yeah.
So I figured, we're done. My little girl's timid. You know, she's done. Well, she tightened up the crotch strap and put on her big boy pants, and she marched that thing to the front.
Absolutely.
She wanted some money and wanted a trophy. Well, she drove it from 15th to 4th. On the last lap, coming through 3 and 4, her and Spencer Thompson made contact. It was a racing deal. You know, Spencer didn't want to lose out what he had worked for.
Absolutely.
Get freight train. She's not one to push back, so she's trying to get away. When she drops her left sides off the pavement, around she goes. And poor old Stephen Betty, he hit her. He looked like Atlantis headed for the moon. I thought he was leaving, going over the fence.
You literally felt the thud. You literally felt it. Anywhere here at the track, you literally felt that just impact. And I know I talked to you the following day and said you actually had rubber, and you could see how the cart actually lifted right up over her.
She had pieces of lead that came from his cart that were embedded in her fire suit, ripped in her fire suit. Both her ankles were bandaged up. It wrecked the cage, wrecked the micron, the body, the bumper, you know. And all I said to her was like, you didn't keep your eyes open? Man, that would have been cool to give me a play-by-play.
Well, here you have Steve, okay, talking about, looking at the damage of the cart, you know, and talking about the racing deal. But then you have Mom on the other side talking about how she has dance lessons.
Oh, yeah, dance was supposed to start that week. So she's been hobbling for a couple of weeks, still hobbling, you know?
And to look at all of that, and not to bring light into that situation, but sometimes you have to bring light into that situation. Here you have 20 karts battling out on the track. You got money on the line, but here we are, and everybody knows everybody, and and we can laugh about it. That's why it's fun here.
Oh yeah.
And going back to Ivan in the sportsman race, to have it handled the way that family handled it. And I mean, I'll be truthful. Isaac came to me and he said, "Dad, I didn't want to win it that way." And he came to me that day and said, "Does Steve have any special awards?" And you did. You had the hard luck awards. And Isaac, without me coaching him or anything, asked if he could give that award to Ivan.
Yeah.
That is what makes racing fun. And it's that plus the action out on the track, obviously.
No.
But to be able to get along the way that we all do, we want every kid to do good, But here we have $1,250 on the line. Karts are coming in off the track. It could be Evan Boya, okay? Evan Boya comes in, works on his kart, he goes back. Todd Boya, his dad, the next kart comes in, Todd's helping the next guy.
No, that's,
that's what it is.
You see a ton of that up here. Then, the animal unrestricted. The cat that, other than my wife, that's taken more of my money in the last year, Nick Haddon.
Yeah.
Couldn't be here on Saturday.
No.
Last year he won both money races and got a bonus. This year it was $1,250 to win both money races with a $500 bonus.
Now, true or not, I heard that you paid him $250 not to show up on Saturday because you knew he was going to get the bonus.
No.
His
dad called me Saturday night and did everything in his power to get in that race for the next day, and because he knew they're a threat anytime, anywhere they go. And he, I felt bad for Dave Putnam. Caught lap traffic at the end. He's just, he had a tough week. Had a baby that week, so obviously the sleep's been lacking.
Yeah.
And
you're thinking diaper money.
Yeah, and you're running the animal unrestricted. But what a great race. Same thing. Lap 1, they have a caution. I said, oh man, here we go. Then they go 49 laps, green to check it.
And these guys move. They're the fastest karts on the track here at Richmond.
Yeah.
At blistering speeds.
Yep. No, exactly. And can't thank Lee from Four Seasons Synthetic enough. Forgot to mention Moody's Collision Center from the doing the. I see Moody's on the screen here. Did the class to senior sportsmen. They love it. And without those guys, White and Bradstreet, Main Market Refrigeration, Auto Paint Supply, helping out with all the people that helped out with the contingency awards. There's just no way we would be able to pull off something like that. So
and you can't. And any track promoter needs to know that. People out there that own businesses and things like that. We try to teach our kids young, and you say it all the time, I say it all the time, and whether you're a kid or an adult racing at any track, if you see a sponsor on either a car, a cart, on a trophy, or anything, if you are a true race fan or a true racer, you need to thank them. You need to literally thank that sponsor.
Without the scrolls that you're looking ticking along the bottom.
Yeah.
Them companies spend money to advertise their business, okay, to put on Mainly Motorsports so we can bring Mainly Motorsports to you. Now, there aren't many other race shows in the country that I know of, a little local show that my 8-year-old kid can be on, or my 62-year-old grandfather, old Ray Penfold can be, that we bring right to you. So when it's, like you said, those sponsors make it all possible, the sponsors of the race, and what a great weekend, and I can't wait to sit down and start planning next year's Mainly Motorsports TV 400. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back here on Mainly Motorsports.
All of us at Moody's Collision Centers would like to thank you for supporting us for over 30 years.
We all own stock in Moody's and have a vested interest in you and your vehicle.
The people at Moody's Collision Centers are part of the community, and our reputation is very important to us.
We take pride in our work and guarantee our repairs for as long as you own your vehicle.
At Moody's Collision Center, we care about our customers.
So when your insurance company asks where you want to go, tell them Moody's Collision Centers. 4 convenient locations: Gorham, Scarborough, Biddeford, and now Portland.
At Southern Maine Motors, we're celebrating Jeep's 70th anniversary with our spring events. Get the vehicle you want at a price no one else can touch, like a 2011 Jeep Compass, leased for only $239 a month for 39 months, or a 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee, leased for only $299 a month. Plus, right now, used car values are at an all-time high. Bring in your old vehicle and drive off in a brand new car. With savings this big, it's no wonder Southern Maine Motors is out to be Maine's #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealer. Visit southernmainemotors.com.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Gary Hotels, located in Brunswick, Freeport, Waterville, and Augusta, the official hotel of Mainely Motorsports.
As we wrap up this week's edition of Mainely Motorsports with my guest co-host Roger Collins, like you haven't done enough up here at Richmond. We still got the Dash for Cash coming.
The Dash for Cash, and it's October 8th and 9th. It's 2-day deal, Saturday, Sunday. Your unrestricteds and both the flathead and the animal motors are going to time trial on Saturday. All the other divisions are going to run features. It's actually their last points race of the season. But your unrestricteds, both classes, $1,500 to win. And we have huge names coming. DJ Shaw. Like, who doesn't know DJ Shaw?
Yeah.
I'm trying to... King family is coming. Boyer family. The list just goes on.
These guys that are already racing cars. So that's the weekend of the 8th and the 9th. The same weekend as the Long John. It kind of wraps up at Unity. But I also want to mention anybody that's coming up. You see the hotels flicking on in the screen in the background. We have a deal with those guys. You got to stay. You know, you call up the Parkwood Inn in Brunswick, the Comfort Inn in Augusta, the Best Westin in Augusta, or the Grand Hotel in Waterville. You tell them, hey, I want to stay there. I need a room. I want the Mainely Motorsports rate. It's $73.50 for the night.
You can't
and these
beat
are
it.
beautiful places, and you know, we've had the teams travel up from New Hampshire, and they're like, wow, that's an awesome deal. So you know, there's a case of, hey, I got to come up, I got to stay somewhere. Why not stay at one of the places that supports Mainely Motorsports? You know.
Yep. And you'll get an even better rate if you stay next to Steve's room.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll be up all night. And you might get the room comped after you tell them the guy in the next room snored. But no, I want to thank you today. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about the Mainely Motorsports 400, the kids, and all that. And I hope you guys all enjoy this week's show. Next week, we're going to hopefully travel over to Oxford and bring you championship night for the Pro All-Star Series as they wrap up their, you know, season and crown their champions. I know the sportsman race is going to be a battle, you know, right down to the wire. You know, looks like Johnny's all set in the other one, but it's going to be a great time. So I want to thank you again, Roger, and, you know, for all you do up here at Richmond with the kids and taking the time today to help host Mainely Motorsports.
No problem. Enjoy it.
We'll see you next week on Mainely Motorsports.
To order copies of a show, send a check or money order for $15, shipping and handling included, to Mainely Motorsports, 326 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, Maine, 04062. And please add a description of the show.
You're watching TWC TV, only on Time Warner Cable.